Good night, everyone. Today, we're going to analyze several aspects about 3 different restaurants. The first one is going to be McDonald's. The second one is going to be Subway. And the third one is going to be El Corral. The first aspect we're going to analyze today is organization goals, service, and atmosphere. In McDonald's, the organization goals are very clear. They want to have a perfect timing. The atmosphere should be just exactly the same as once they have in the United States, as they're a franchise. And the service and organization goals should be very clear to the client. In this aspect, we can name timing, as they serve meals within the expected time, which is from 1 to 5 minutes. We can also name quality. Quality is a very important aspect in McDonald's. As they're a franchise, they need to meet every quality aspect, from ingredients, cooking time, presentation, and service of the meal. And we can also name atmosphere. The atmosphere in McDonald's should also meet quality aspects. It should be calm, secure. Its atmosphere should be without any odor, and it should have clean spaces and seats. So we have 3 aspects: atmosphere, timing, and quality. On the other hand, we have Subway. Subway is also a franchise, and it should, of course, meet quality aspects such as atmosphere as well, timing, and good quality. Anyhow, the atmosphere in Subway is very different to the one in McDonald's. Why? Well, because Subway sells choices and healthy food, which is very different to McDonald's. In McDonald's, you can choose what menu you want to have, but in Subway, you actually choose what to have in your menu. And it also makes it healthier because they don't use any fried things or fried ingredients. Okay, the timing in Subway is also different from the one in McDonald's because it depends on what you choose, and that makes you the owner of your time. Because if you get delayed on what you want to choose to eat, then you're gonna have a longer time in the restaurant. Also, in McDonald's, it's different because you order and you have a timing from 1 to 5 minutes. We already said that. But in Subway, it takes about 2 or 3 minutes. And last but not least, we have El Corral. El Corral is a Colombian restaurant characterized for being a fast food restaurant where actually you have to wait. So timing in this restaurant goes from 10 to 15 minutes of waiting before you can actually eat. El Corral also has a higher quality compared to Subway or McDonald's because they have better food ingredients, and you can also tell because of the price. El Corral is way more expensive than Subway or McDonald's. So prices is another thing we can add to this aspect. The atmosphere in El Corral is very familiar, it's calm, and it's very quiet. which differs to the atmosphere in McDonald's, because McDonald's has an atmosphere that goes more with the kids, which is more relaxed and probably less calm and louder. Okay, the second aspect we're going to analyze today is authority structure. We could see today in our visit to the restaurant that there's a supervisor in McDonald's. There's also a supervisor in Subway. And there's also a supervisor for El Corral. All supervisors in these restaurants are in charge of watching over the service, the general state of the restaurant, the quality, and the atmosphere. Okay, another aspect we're going to analyze today is the type of technology they use in the restaurants. In Subway and McDonald's, they don't really use much of the technology. They don't because they basically have already. So you order and they serve you right away. So they don't need to have any kind of technology to give you the meal. So these two restaurants only use technology to have the bill, to get all the inventory ready, and not to give the meal to the client. So you have bills in here and inventory. In contrast, in El Corral, they have actually an advice, which is technological, and they use it to tell the client that the meal is ready. Alright, we will now analyze the team versus individual work. In McDonald's, for example, they work in teams. Why can I say that? Because they all have specific tasks. The first one is the cashier. He receives the money and asks for the order. Then there's one in charge of the meat, one in charge of the vegetables, one in charge of the bread. There's also one in charge of the French fries. There's one in charge of serving the ice creams, desserts, and drinks. What this means is that they work as a team. So if one of them don't do the task the way they should, then the other one wouldn't be able to finish or accomplish the goal, which is to serve the exact meal as the client ordered it. In El Corral, they work the same. They need teams. They also have one specific task for each specific individual. So they work as a team as they get to serve the meal the way they should. And then there's Subway. Subway don't work in teams, they work individually. Which means that for one client, there's only one person in charge. That person is in charge of asking what kind of bread does the client want, what kind of protein does the client want. He would also ask if the client wants any cheese, whether the sandwich is going to be hot, cold, or toasted. And he's also going to ask whether the client wants veggies, sauces, and if they would like to have a dessert. At the end of the line, there's going to be a cashier waiting for the client to pay and make sure everything's ready for him. It is kind of a work team in that part, but the worker works individually for each client, so we call it individual work. We will now talk about interdependence. Well, this means how much do other employees depend on each other. Even though in McDonald's and El Corral work in teams and Subway doesn't, they're all interdependent. What this means is that they all depend on other employees to achieve the task correctly. An example of this is providers. If providers are not punctual and don't provide the restaurant with the quality ingredients they need, the restaurant will not be able to function correctly. Another example can be in Subway, where there is not very clear how they, even though they don't work in teams, are interdependent. Well, Subway has to have all the fresh ingredients in the counter, and they depend on others to always have fresh food there for the clients to come and choose. Now we're going to talk about the specialization of tasks. McDonald's, Subway, and El Corral specialize in fast food. But the question is, do they really specialize on the task they achieve? Well, in McDonald's, we can say that they have specialization. Why can we say that? Well, there's a specialized person on French fries. There's one specific person to fry the McNuggets, for example. And there's someone who builds the perfect Mac burger. As for El Corral, we have the same thing. They're all specialized on the task they achieve. Why can we say that? Well, it's the same. There's one person in charge of the bread, for example, and on adding the sauces. And they become specialized on that. They cannot go to fry French fries because they won't be the same as a specialized person would do it. And then, of course, we have Subway. In Subway, they don't have specialized person or specialization of tasks. Why can we say that? Because there's only one person in charge of everything, and they become specialized in everything, like in the whole process of building the sandwich and giving it to the client. But they don't specialize in a specific task, which is, for example, different in McDonald's or El Corral, where they have a specific task and they specialize on that. We will now talk about standardization. In the 3 restaurants, standardization is a big thing, an important thing, and they all use it. And standardization stands for how varied are tasks and products. Well, we can see that in the 3 restaurants, in McDonald's, Subway, and El Corral, products do not vary at all. They are all standardized, all processes are standardized, they're all the same every time, they are done the same way, they're asked to be the same way, and the actual final product is always the same. We will now analyze the level of expertise required in each of the restaurants. And by level of expertise required, we're talking about technical versus the social requirements that each restaurant needs. In the managerial area, all of the 3 restaurants need to have specialized people who have worked or studied, who have managerial experience. On the other hand, we have, for example, cashiers. They definitely need to have more social expertise, which are required to have these kind of tasks. As for the people in the kitchen, for example, they don't need to have expertise on the social part, but they have to have a technical expertise. As their tasks are more technical than social. They don't have to spend time with the client, but they have to be in the back doing the best thing that they can, and they become technical. We have now arrived to the last of the to analyze, which is decision making. In all of the 3 restaurants, the decision is also very standardized. Employees cannot make decisions. The only ones that can are supervisors, who are in charge of the good functioning of the restaurant. On top of them, there are the managers, but they're not always there in the restaurant. And on top of the managers, there are the owners. And they depend basically and mostly on how the franchise works and on how the decisions are made on those other restaurants. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.